Politics is a very interesting game. And politics is also a very dirty game. Yesterday, the Supreme Court of Kenya declared the Building Bridges Initiative process unconstitutional. That marked the end of the Building Bridges Initiative process. BBI was an initiative of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his brother Raila Amolo Odinga. And the collapse of BBI basically means that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga have lost in a very big way. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga had intended to use the Building Bridges Initiative process to achieve several objectives. One of them is political objective, which means as things stand today, those political objectives which they intended to achieve will not be achieved. One of the objectives they intended to achieve was to expand the executive so that they could achieve what the president was calling his legacy of a united country. So where we are going to have a prime minister and two deputy prime minister, we are going to have a president and deputy president. So President Uhuru Kenyatta will not be able now to achieve that. The second objective they wanted to achieve with the Building Bridges Initiative process, in my view, was to appease the Mount Kenya region using the 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling campaign, because it was going to be captured in our constitution. Now with the collapse of the BBI, they can no longer use that, but though I know they can use it against the deputy president, that is the DP who actually refused to support the BBI. The third objective which they wanted to achieve, in my view, using the BBI political objective, was to try to use BBI to penetrate the Mount Kenya region by creating additional constituencies. If you followed the BBI process, that's actually one of the issues which most people were opposed to, because the Mount Kenya region were going to get, out of the 70 constituencies, Mount Kenya region were going to get the bulk of it. A county like Homa Bay was not going to benefit. So Kenyans were really supportive of Raila Odinga supporters were a bit supportive of the BBI, but things like those were really putting them off. So that's why most of them are now happy that finally the BBI is dead. But one man is celebrating the collapse of BBI, the Deputy President William Samoei Arap Ruto. And the question is, how did William Ruto manage to outwit President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga to take credit for the collapse of the Building Bridges Initiative process? If you followed the BBI from the time it was incepted, from the time of its inception up to the time it was voted for at the county assemblies, in parliament, William Ruto never really took a stand. The only time the deputy president took to the stand and won the support of Kenyans was when the BBI secretariat organized that event at Bomas of Kenya, and the deputy president was given an opportunity to speak. And when he rose to speak, the deputy president pointed out the weaknesses in the BBI, and he carried the day on that particular day. But in this video, I want us to try and figure out, or to try and look at, why the deputy president actually outwitted President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Amolo Odinga in this BBI contest. Because the truth of the matter is that even the court case, William Ruto was not part of it. There were people who were behind it. UDA was not part of it. Musalia Mudavadi, Wetangula were part of the pro-BBI teams. But now they addressed the press today, and clearly they are taking credit for it. Why do you think this is possible? In this video, I want us to look at all those issues, and if I leave out any, maybe you can let me know in the comment section why the deputy president actually outwitted Uhuru and Raila to take credit for the collapse of the BBI. In my view, number one, why they won. If you followed the process of the BBI, there was a lot of secrecy. At some point, you couldn't even tell the document Kenyans were looking at. It became so secret that, Kenyans were not happy. So William Ruto kept on talking about this document, and Kenyans were not able to see the document. So even myself, I was asking myself, why are they keeping this document secret? The document ought to have come out and then discussed publicly, Kenyans would have accepted. So when they finally gave the document, Kenyans started figuring out why it was a secret. The first thing was the issue of additional 70 constituencies. The 70 constituencies was not favoring other regions, but they were favoring Mount Kenya. So other regions actually ganged up against the BBI. So deep down, as much as Raila Odinga supporters were supporting this document, deep down in their hearts, they were just praying that this document should not see the light of the day. And that's why even if this document were to go up to the ballot, there was a high chance of it being voted out on the account of these 70 constituencies. So the secrecy, if these guys had released this document earlier, probably Kenyans would have expressed their dissatisfaction. Kenyans would have spoken, the intelligence would have given these guys the report, and they would have allowed some changes in parliament before submitting the document for publication. So the truth is, this document was being managed as if it was not a public document. So that was important. Number two was the involvement of the perceived deep state. This document failed. BBI failed not because of anything, but because Uhuru Kenyatta decided to use the deep state instead of politicians. There's no way or there's no point of having a secretariat like the BBI secretariat, and their involvement is only up to the point of signature collection. Every other thing was being handled from, I used to know a few guys who worked at the secretariat, very serious people who were working at that secretariat. I used to ask them several questions. These guys would tell me that some of them didn't even know whatever was happening, apart from those press conferences and the rest. Karanja Kibicho was fully in charge of this process through the provincial administration. This was a political process. A political process must be dealt with politically. So people like Junet Mohammed, Dennis Waweru, as politicians, were supposed to be the guys who are fully running the show. But they were just running the show from outside. But inside, they were nowhere. And that's why this thing failed. This process was not for the chiefs to collect signatures. It was not for the DOs. It was not for the county commissioners to figure out how signatures were to be collected. This process ought to have been fully in the hands of politicians. At the moment it left the hands of politicians, William Ruto took advantage and he started poking holes. So that's the main reason why the DP outwitted these guys. The third reason is messaging. BBI as a document has so many good things. There's that youth commission. There is one thing I've really been praying for, the health commission, which was now going to transfer the issues of medical staff salaries now to a central place, not dealing with the counties directly. There were so many good things in the BBI. The issue of the help, so many good things. Even the issue of expanded executive was a good idea if the messaging was packaged. But the secretariat failed. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga failed in their messaging. They failed to convince Kenyans that this document is a good document. Kenyans have this habit of not reading. Kenyans are known to be poor readers. So you give them a document they don't read. They'll depend on someone else to relay the message. So their messaging was not resonating well with the Kenyans. That's the honest truth. On the other side, William Ruto picked on certain issues which were not good or which were contentious. Issues like expanded executive, issues like devolved funds, issues like 1 man, 1 shilling versus population, versus geography. So, like for example, this BBI was not going to benefit much certain areas, or they were not going to favor certain areas when it comes to population. So William Ruto would go to those areas and highlight it. in the mountain where it was favoring them, he would not go there. William Ruto never went to Mount Kenya region during the campaigns of BBI. He never told those people that this document is bad in this way. So the messaging aspect is what killed BBI. And that's what William Ruto took advantage of, and he ran away with it. So as we speak today, BBI is dead. Nobody is talking about its good part. Most of Kenyans are talking about the negative aspect and how the deputy president managed to save it. A man who has never been known to stand for the constitution is now the man who came forth and defended the constitution. And number 4, in my view, is the 2022 politics. You know, BBI proponents, their timing was not the right timing. You know, BBI ought to have been pushed much earlier so that it was not going to be mixed with politics. So you are talking of expanded executive when Kenyans are almost going for election. So we have key players. So Ruto was able to say that this document was about giving 5 men jobs. That is Musalia, Kalonzo, Weta, Raila, and Uhuru jobs. At the same time, the economy was doing badly, partly because of COVID and other factors. And you know, Kenyans, there's no way you can come and tell them that you want a document, and if they look at that document, they see 5 positions being created, the economy is doing bad, COVID had hit the country, people had been laid off. What do you tell them? So Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga failed because of 2022 politics and the collapse of the economy. They ought to have, like when we were at the peak of COVID, there was no need for them to push for this document. In fact, it was the right point for them to tell Kenyans that because of COVID, we are suspending this thing. But remember, they also had very strict timelines to follow. So the 2022 politics and the collapse of the economy is what William Ruto took advantage of. He took advantage of the fact that the economy was doing badly because of COVID, and he took advantage of the fact that he was a one-man army the other side, and this side we had 5 people. So he was like, this thing is about creating jobs for these people. The MCS were bought to vote for this document. So there's money. While that was happening, Kenyans were suffering. Jobs were being lost. Nothing was happening. Economy was doing pretty poorly. So he had to run away with it. And lastly, I think BBI had very bad clauses. So we only needed to pick 2 of them, convince Kenyans, and Kenyans were willing to do anything to collapse the BBI. That's why the deputy president has managed to outwit these guys. Thank you guys, and may you have a good day.